Hello and welcome to a houseplant tour. I'm going to be showing you the plants in my kitchen and some of the plants in my sunroom. And do listen to episode 69 of On the Ledge podcast to hear more about these plants. So one of the best things about my kitchen is this. It's the skylight above the kitchen sink, and it's really great because it adds extra light to this room, which is north facing. So normally that would be a little bit too dark for many plants, but because of this skylight I get loads of extra light, which means I can have loads of extra plants. So let's take a tour. Well, let's have a look at my Great Wall of China first. There we go. You might see there's a little not entirely happy Tillandsia up there, lurking on the top of a plate. It does get taken down and stuck in some pond water once in a while to be watered. And I've got a little propagation corner going on here. And for this I use mainly milk bottles, but I've also got this new little propagation vessel that I bought from a local gift shop, which is rather lovely, and it's really great because it's heavy, it won't fall over, and it's got a narrow top so it keeps things in order. And in here I've got a Monstera Adansonii cutting, which is doing okay and starting to root. And I've also got some of the purple Stradiscantia pallida growing there. I've got a Coleria cutting and lots of Coleus cuttings, plus a leaf of Primulina hisarco, which is nicely rooted. If anyone in the UK wants that, let me know, because I'm looking for a home for that one. So that's a little propagation corner. It's good because it's right there available for me to check on every time I'm at the sink, which is obviously quite a lot. So it's a handy little place to keep an eye on things. And then we come to the Gesneriad windowsill. So yes, you know I've got a lot of Gesneriads. My Streptocarpus, they're just finishing their big flowering boost at the moment. So you can see some of them have still got flowers on them. Some of them have pretty much finished, although they probably will have another spurt of flowers in a few weeks' time once they've regained some energy. So this one's called Matilda, this pink one. This is called, oh gosh, I'm testing myself now. I'll look these up when I list them in the show notes. But these are some of my favourites, and they're rather beautiful plants, as you can see, and they take up a lot of space on my windowsill. Now over here I've got these little hanging things, which at the moment have Phalaenopsis orchids in them. These are a little bit of a trick because you have to attach them properly. They're attached with suckers, and as you can see, I've not done a great job because this one's not particularly straight, but I don't want to move it because they're a devil if you take them off. They're good because they're getting lots of light from the sunlight. In the summertime, this is too bright for orchids to be here. I've burned orchids in this location before, but they're okay here at this time of year. The trick with the containers, with the suckers, is you need to put them into water, hot water, and then dry them off and attach them, and you'll find they stay on much more easily. Okay, let's spin round past boring kitchen things which have no plants and we'll come to this area. So this used to be a door into the understairs cupboard, and now, as you can see, it's become a bit of a plant and Cornishware playground. So I collect something called Cornishware, which is this, and I've got lots of it, so there's plenty of it on show here. Let's have a look shelf by shelf at what we've got. Top shelf, we've got a lovely planter that I did, inspired by the wonderful James Wong episode. So this has no drainage in it, but as you can see, the plants are incredibly happy in there. We've got a Pothos Enjoy, which is a bit tiny because I took some cuttings of it for somebody, but you can see that it's now re-sprouting quite nicely. In the middle here, there's a Pilea microphylla. So this is the tiny-leaved Pilea, which is also known, I think, as the artillery plant. I hope I'm getting that right. And it's a bit of a weed in some parts of the world, but it's also a really nice little container plant. And then on the end here we have, oh, I hope I don't get this wrong. I think it's Peleonia repens, or is it Peleonia elegans? I will check that and let you know. But you can see how happy this is because look, it's got a flower on it and it's doing really, really well in this location. This gets watered. I don't know if you can see in the top here I have a mulch called Natnix, which is supposed to stops fungus gnats, and I water this very rarely, probably about once every 2 to 3 weeks, even less in winter. It's quite deep, So the plants can dig down their roots into that moisture there, and they do quite well. And next to that we have this plant, which again, I'm struggling for the Latin name. I think it's Calicia elegans, but it's got a really nice pinstripe trailing effect. And it's been a bit miserable because I didn't take very good care of it. So I've moved it in here where it can get more attention. Okay, I need your help on this one, guys. This is an orchid that I bought in a garden centre. It was half dead. It's reviving, but I don't know what it is. So if anyone knows what this orchid might be, then please let me know, because I've just removed a bit of dead stuff from there, because I don't have an ID for that one. Isn't that pot nice? It's a vintage pot that it's in. Coming down, what have we got here? Well, this is another one of my containers that I did with James Wong inspiration, and it's not worked as well as the top one, because as you'll see, the I'm just going to turn a light on here, see if it's get this a bit brighter. Yeah, that's better. As you'll see, the Transcantia spadacea, which was a gift from listener June, has gone a bit mad. And it's crowding out everything else in here. This Calathea and the Peleonia, the Peperomia prostrata is one tiny strand. So I need to redo that one, but it's okay. Everything's alive, so that's a plus. Okay, let's move down to the next shelf. So here we've got my Pilea peperomioides from listener Lauren Wilmshurst, and this one's had a bit of a battering over the summer because I took it to various shows and things as a demo plant, and as a result it's been rather battered, and it is just recovering really. It's not looking too bad. Having said that, this is wick watered, and I will explain wick watering in more depth in another video, because I know lots of you have asked for that. No babies so far from this one, but we live in hope. Next to it we've got Epipremnum aureum, which desperately needs to climb. At the minute it's just dragging down here, and I've taken various cuttings off this one because I've only got one strand, so I want to expand the number of strands in there, and I will be training that up a moss pole. But you can see here how these aerial roots are just desperate to find something to go into. So let's go down to the next level, past all the kitchen bits and bobs. What have we got here? Okay, so on this one we've just got a Peperomia incarna. This plant's so easy, I just haven't done anything to it. It really does need a trim though, ideally, because it's going out to one side rather alarmingly. So I will probably trim that in the springtime there, and make a stem cutting of that one. It's a really easy plant. It's got these lovely furry leaves, and as I say, I've done very little to it, so good plant. And then we move down here and we've got the sort of desperation zone of things that I'm propagating that are just kind of sitting there and waiting for something to be done with them. Most of these are rooted, but I haven't got around to potting them up. The coleus, as I've suggested in the coleus episode, will just sit there till spring and have some fertiliser added to the mix once in a while. There's one of the Epipremnum cuttings. And what's the other thing in there? Oh, that's a Monstera Adansonii cutting, which in fact I need to pack up and post to a listener who's getting that via my Houseplant Fans of On The Ledge Facebook group. So whoever's waiting on that, and apologies, I will get that done and out to you very soon. As you can see, the roots on this are going a bit nuts, so they need to be potted up. I've got work to do, people. And then down here we've got a little IKEA shot glass, and in here, what is in here? We've got Calicia repens pink panther, which you'll be able to see on my Instagram feed. Now let's have a look at this and see how it's doing. It's got a bit of root on it, but not enough for it to be potted on yet. Let's pop that down there for a second. What else? Oh, this is a string of hearts. So yes, this is fine. This has got lots of roots on it, so I shall be potting that up. And finally, what is this? This is another piece of Monstera Adansonii, which will no doubt root, but it hasn't been in there very long. So I need to sort these plants out. I'm going to pop them back in the water until this recording is over, and then I will get on with making them happy. Okay, here I am in the sunroom with the glass roof, you can see. So there's lots of light in here, and you can see lots of my trailing plants that I talked about during Trailing Plants Week here. So we've got Monstera Adansonii, and we've got a string of pearls, Hoya linearis, a columnea, a not very happy satin pothos cutting. I have to say that one is not quite happy enough yet. Next to it, another cutting of Philodendron Brazil, which you can't quite see but is doing really well. And I've got more string of pearls, or between that there's a Senecio Herianus purple flush and a tiny cutting of Hoya Mathilde, which I talked about in my Patreon episode on Hoyas with Tommy Tonsberg. And then there is my Hoya carnosa, the one that died and has come back to life via a cutting. And on the end there, a few fowls up there with some string of hearts. Coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down to another arrangement that I made inspired by James Wong. This is Begonia erythrosa in the front here, which is a lovely plant and is so happy in this arrangement. This Calathea Maui Queen has had spider mites. So this one has been a bit unhappy, but it is clear of spider mites at the moment. As you can see, it's starting to regrow, so that's awesome. And over here, I've got pussy ears, Cyanotis somaliensis, which is a trailing plant, but it's going up at the minute because it's not quite long enough. So that's another one of my arrangements. No drainage here. This is a melamine fruit bowl from Wilkinson's, and it's got hydraulica, that's expanded clay pebbles on the top as a mulch, and I water this about every 2 weeks. And behind there we've got one of the lovely Stromanth Triastars, which again has had spider mites. It got a severe haircut this summer, but it's coming back nice and strong and doesn't seem to have any more spider mites. It does have a bit of leaf damage, but hey, don't we all? And just coming round the corner to look at a couple more things before we go. My Begonia maculata whitey eye. I had to think about that for a moment. Now this was so miserable, but I brought it back from the dead with wick watering. And if you go onto my YouTube channel, you will find a video about how I did that. So do take a look at that. It really does need a trim in order to make it a bit less leggy. I'm going to do that at some point once I've got enough foliage so that I can take some cuttings. German ivy here. This is a little plant that's a kind of a, well, nondescript little climber, but I rather like it. Coleria from June. I can't remember which Coleria this is now, but this is doing okay. And my little Begonia listada, which is in a self-watering pot and finally not looking quite so miserable. On the other side of the entranceway here is Gesneriad Corner. And in Gesneriad Corner, we've got my Apicias, which are starting to really trail now. All here, they're all potted together in a pot with no drainage. Oh, no drainage. But they're doing all right at the minute in this setup. And I've got my Smithiantha. This is this plant, Smithiantha extra sassy. So this is a wonderful Gesneriad, and I'm looking forward to this growing. It's got beautiful leaves, and tucked in there are some Kalanchoe Mother of Millions, which somebody gave me the little plant that's off, so I'm just growing those out in there. Don't ask me why they're in there, that's just the way it is. My not altogether happy African Violet, Max Blackjack. It's a dwarf variety with slightly dark variegated leaves. It's not looking great, is it? But it's okay. I've just got to master that one. Look at this beauty. It's Primulina Hisako. It's just finishing flowering. You can see there the flower. But I just love this incredible foliage. Look at that. Very easy to look after if you don't overwater it. These Primulinas are amazing plants if you want to grow something tiny that you can grow on the ledge. This is, sorry, it's not Primulina. It is Petrocosmia. My mind has gone blank. Petrocosmia. This is Petrocosmia cryptica. Look at those incredible leaves, and this is about to flower. I can't quite see the flowers there, but it is about to bloom, so that's exciting. And my other one is this one, Petrocosmia Lafayette's, I can't remember the name now, Lafayette something. Let's take it out. Hello Petrocosmia. Hang on, where am I going to put this? I'm going to put this under my arm and then I can read the label. Petrocosmia Keystones Lafayette. So that's my other one from Dibley's, and that will go back in there. It's had some damage in the summer, pest damage from little caterpillars that flew in, and well, the butterflies flew in and landed their eggs on here, and there's a bit of damage on there, but that's historic rather than current, so they should be absolutely fine. So that's Gesneriad Corner. That's a little insight into some of the plants in my playroom. As you can see, the dining room beyond, sorry about the washing, but hey, that's real life, is really rather dark, so I don't tend to have a lot of plants in there. I have plans for that room, but I haven't executed those yet. So it's really out here in the sunroom where we get lots of lovely houseplants.